All right, hello. This is part 2 of Frankie Jay, the Political Talk. Okay, so as we were saying, so what were we saying?
Oh, well, we were talking about, the different, like I said, different spin. I think when you go back into like stuff that Trump said about like the Supreme Court justice, like that's completely malarkey, bro. Like, how does your entire party
Exactly
say that? Oh well, we shouldn't elect a Supreme Court justice because this was Scalia last time that it went out. So that was a Republican seat, a right wing seat, and so they said, oh well, we shouldn't fill it because it's an election year. And Lindsey Graham said, oh well, quote me on this in 2020 when this happens again, if it happens again, and you can quote me. And he said it multiple places. He didn't just say it one time. He said it continuously that you can quote me on this come 4 years from now. The fact that I disagree with going ahead with this. And that now they got all this rationale and all this other stuff. And it's BS. No, you don't have the right to... this will be the second seat you technically stole. You stole two seats because Merrick Garland should have been Supreme Court, not Kavanaugh. So that's who should have been elected. And now you're going to take a whole nother seat that really isn't yours to appoint. You said, oh, in 2016, it's up to the people, the American people. Well, it's 2020. It's the time for American people to decide the same as they did in 2016. So how can you now say, oh, well, they already decided? No, they decided 4 years ago before Trump was president a direction. And now 4 years later, I can guarantee you a large amount of those people want a completely different direction. And so for you to say, oh, well, we're going to take the Supreme Court seat that's not really ours, it's just terrible, man. I hate it.
You know, I don't understand how anyone even trusts Trump because a lot of times he's always contradicting himself and he's always insulting the his party, the whole government. He's always insulting someone, and then and right behind that, kind of supporting it.
Definitely.
And I just don't really understand how anyone really trusts that. But also, what do you think about his ideas for pushing the U.S. economy versus Joe Biden's?
I think that's one of those things in the debate that kind of didn't really get an agenda from. I think we got some ideas. I mean, like he said, what did he say? The recovery under him is a V shape. And under them, I think he said, I can't remember what he said their recovery was, but it's a V shape. It goes down and up. You know what? The one thing that he had in his cap was that the economy was fairly okay. As far as when you think about just capital gains and taxes, and he had gotten the code to a place that he wanted it, that was somewhat working, but I think ultimately one of those type of policies that 5 years down the line is going to backfire. But right now, it had the economy pre-coronavirus kind of booming. So if for not anything, that's the only thing that he really had in his cap to tout. But I think Joe Biden also made it his point to say, well, you got to think about it. When we left, we had made the most growth. We had more jobs than you have now. We were because I think that's the part that in history that's going to be litigated and has often been forgotten is that when Obama got the presidency, this country was in great financial turmoil. Yeah. Based on the Iraq-Afghanistan war we had just put ourselves through the prior decade before that, as well as certain other things that had been done under George W. Bush. It's crazy that like now I would kill for George W. Bush, right? Like, I was like, man, let that guy in a minute. But like, I mean, because he's a human being, it seems like. It seems like he has some sort of a conscience.
At least.
And so, because I think I don't mean to make myself sound like George W. Bush fan, but I think he suffered a lot from a lack of something. But I think it's just on a human level, you know what I mean? And I just think it wasn't necessarily, some things aren't necessarily intentional. I think they're literally intelligence based and certain things like that. Not necessarily he was a bad person.
Yeah.
But I mean, so when you think about that, like I think that people, if they want to look at the economy for what it was and what it is, You can understand why it's not that, but you're talking about a guy who's bankrupted himself and his company like 30 times. So
the writing is on the wall.
The writing is on the wall because this is my thing. In sports, they have a thing called empty calorie stats, right? It's like throwing a touchdown at the end of the game when they're giving you prevent defense and man coverage. It's like, of course, like they're trying to not stop you, but they're really not doing anything that's going to stop you. It's a stopgap. It's like, please don't score on us, but we necessarily can't beat you, stop you from scoring on us. It's like, that free throw at the end of the game with like 2 seconds on the clock and you just shoot it and you get a point. Those are empty calorie because it don't really speak to the fact that you were probably boxed out the entire game. You didn't get any rebounds. You were outshot. Those things at the end of the game that you do to win. And so he has a lot of empty calorie stats. And when you look at his recovery efforts, it's empty calories. It's a lot of things that aren't there. It's a lot of things that are loophole based, that are all the other things based that when you look at the longevity of them, they don't spell anything good or great for our country. And so, yeah, he can tout that, but really what's the substantial part behind it? Like, do you really have anything to give the American people? And I think yesterday, Biden said it great. He has no plan. He never has one. He's been showing us his taxes since 2016. And it's been said multiple times. Under an audit, you can still show your taxes. He's chosen not to show his taxes. And so,
how is it? Who is this guy to not have his taxes be seen? Like it's as if he's got the only key to see his taxes. I really don't understand that. But anyway, I don't want to get it because no one knows.
That's a whole. I can go there, take the 10,000.
Another conspiracy.
Definitely.
$1 million question. What do you think about Biden's ideas or plans for making the world green, or I guess making the U.S. green and going green, creating jobs?
I'm with it. I definitely agree if it creates jobs. That's an awesome thing, right? Like if it can create these green jobs. He says he's not a part of the Green New Deal, but I'm pretty sure it's similar, I guess. They have a way of branding stuff, Green New Deal, blah, blah, blah. It's the same thing. It's just it's just not the plan that they're trying to say that he's with, right?
Yeah.
And so I believe in the soul of Joe Biden more than anything else. I've seen the man at work, looking back at his history. Like I said, you have all these years of experience, all these years in front of a camera, right? And all these years in front of the Senate. And, I was talking to somebody yesterday, like, man, this is theater. And that's what politics is. It's really theater. And so you have all of these different, like I said, I felt this way about Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, he has a strict track record. And I can look at it and say, hey, this is this. I can look at Joe Biden's, because that was one of my main things when Trump would try to say anything. If I was Joe Biden's advisors, I'd say to him, all that's been refuted, right? You can't say anything about my integrity when multiple people, pretty much everybody who worked you has either wind up indicted or in prison, right? And then you look at, even when you talk about your impeachment, in which you had everyone that you brought that was a key witness to try to disparage my family's name, not one of them that actually knows me, not even your witnesses, could disparage my character as a human being and as a person. Every single one of them, even your witnesses, said Joe Biden's an outstanding man and human being. So for all that you want to say about me, there's nothing you can say. Like, who's the liar? Who's the guy that's been caught on tape line? And so that's what I like about, especially early on, like Joe Biden was sticking to the point. Coronavirus, people died, it's your fault. You would have did better, it wouldn't be alive.
You would have did better.
You know what I mean?
Playing better, been a better leader.
Stick to the script. Because because like I said, his main attack is going to be, crazy old Joe. Mm-hmm. He's slurring his words. Mm-hmm. He's insane. He's sick. What's the other one? Crazy old Joe. He's a gaff machine. You know what I mean? Like,
it became a Plan of Dozens game a little bit. Yeah. Two grumpy old men yelling at each other. I do appreciate Joe for kind of because you got to kind of
clown.
Right, you got it right. He came at him a couple of times,
yeah.
And it was necessary because you got to get on Trump's level a little bit,
Yeah.
But anyway, I think both presidential candidates, the current president and the former vice president, presidential candidates, stand where they are. What do you think about our vice presidential elects? I guess
Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, as they like to say. Kamala Harris. I think she's definitely presidential. I think because a lot of people forget she was the front runner for quite a while. I feel like she's definitely, but I liked her. But I feel like this is where you start with a person like Kamala Harris. You put her in the vice presidency, let her go do some things, get a little bit more experience on the world stage. Because as a senator, you only see so much, right? But as the vice president, you have so much to deal with, so much time, so many areas traveling, and you have to deal with foreign leaders. And I think that's the way you build up like the young talent that is Kamala Harris. Mike Pence is Mike Pence. You know who he is. You know what you're gonna get.
Or do you? Because he's such a he's a polar opposite of Trump. And but he I believe he supports Trump, and he follows Trump, and that's kind of like the scary part because it's like he doesn't really. I mean, he says what he says things sometimes.
He's a religious freedom guy. He's a Second Amendment guy. He's in a lot of ways like he's the more swallowable pill to what Trump provides. Right? He has the same ideals. Actually, some honestly a little bit worse because a lot of times I don't feel like Trump even believes the BS that he's spewing. Right. It's just that's the persona, that's the character that is Donald J. Trump.
Right.
And so, like, he has to rely on the base and give them their carrots and their dog whistles and let them know, hey, I'm Donald Trump, but I'm here. Not necessarily because that's what he is as a con man. He's able to con people into believing what he wants them to believe. So if you believe that I'm a sectist and I'm against certain nationalities and you'll vote for me, I'll take your vote. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Not necessarily I'm gonna do what you want me to do, but I'll take your vote because it's gonna get me the win, right? Yeah. So, and I know that y'all gonna come out in droves if I come on the stage and act like I don't care about black people, right?
That kind of stupid.
Yeah.
He might be some kind of other stupid, but not that one.
Not at all. So all in all, man, I think debate one nuanced. It was a lot of different things. I think there was some punches thrown on each side that you had to think about. But ultimately, I hope the second, like I said, for me, Chris Wallace doesn't stand down, and
he's doing the vice president too, right?
Yeah, I think he is, and that's my thing. Like, there's certain things that with Donald Trump comes, and he did his best to. I think the best. There's Chris Matthews to me. Probably had the best interview I had seen with Donald Trump because Chris Matthews is that fast-paced talker. Yeah. That quick, straight to the point. Okay, so what do you want me to do? Okay, so we're there. Okay, well, so he changes and he switches view so quickly that he doesn't allow you to get your footing as far as he gets the answer out. Mm-hmm. And he gets you to the answer, and you start talking, and he steers you to what he wants the question to be. Right. So I wish he was still with MSNBC. We know what happened with him. I don't know if some people know, but whatever. But I agree. I think Chris Wallace was great, and I just can't wait till this next debate. I know the next presidential debate, I think, is the 15th. Okay. And I think the vice president debate is next week.
Okay, right.
I think it's next Tuesday as well. So we'll see, man.
One last funny little thing I wanted to add, because this whole presidential election and all this stuff is it's kind of comical, obviously, and some people have developed a drinking game out of the presidential debate. Like some people, they have if Trump brings up anything about China, you got to take a shot, or if he
China plague,
excuse me, you got to take a shot. If Biden says a couple things, you got to take a shot. And I don't know, maybe we'll develop a new one for the vice president debate and continue the games for the next presidential debate. And we're going to just continue to stay in prayer that everything is going to be okay.
Definitely.
We're going to the right leader is going to be chosen, and we're going to get through this, and we're going to be protected and saved. Thank you so much for listening. This is Frankie Jay with Political Talk. Peace.